Years passed, and Joseph's wisdom continued to bless Egypt. He had married an Egyptian woman named Asenath, and together they had 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. In his own words, Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh because God had made him forget all his trouble and all his father's household. His second son, Ephraim, he named because God had made him fruitful in the land of his affliction. Joseph had found a new life, a new family, and a new identity in Egypt. He was no longer the boy in the pit, but a powerful ruler, second only to Pharaoh himself. The 7 years of abundance came and went, just as he had foreseen. The granaries of Egypt were overflowing, a testament to his foresight and God's provision. But Joseph knew that the good times were about to end. The 7 years of famine were coming, and when they came, they were devastating. The famine wasn't just in Egypt. It spread over the whole face of the earth. In every other land, people were starving. But in Egypt, there was bread. The storehouses Joseph had so diligently filled now became the source of life for the nation. When the people of Egypt cried out to Pharaoh for food, he directed them to Joseph. "Go to Joseph," he said, "and do whatever he tells you." So Joseph opened up all the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe in their land as well. But Egypt's abundance didn't stay within its borders. Word spread far and wide that there was grain in Egypt, and people from all over the world began to journey there to buy food from Joseph, because the famine was severe everywhere. Back in the land of Canaan, the famine had hit with a vengeance. The once fertile fields where Jacob and his sons had grazed their flocks were now dry, cracked, and barren. The land was dead. We see Jacob, now a very old man, his face etched with worry and the hardship of the years. He sits with his sons, the very same sons who had sold their brother into slavery so long ago. They are a picture of despair, their bodies gaunt, their faces hollow with hunger. They look at each other, silent, as if waiting for a miracle that will not come. The silence is heavy with unspoken fears and the gnawing pain of starvation. They had flocks, but no pasture. They had wealth, but no food to buy. The vibrant, bustling family that had once thrived in Canaan was now on the brink of death. Meanwhile, a world away in Egypt, a starkly different scene unfolds. The granaries are bustling with activity. Long lines of people from every walk of life, both Egyptian and foreign, wait patiently to buy grain. The air is filled with the sound of commerce and the sight of abundance. Overseeing this massive operation is a figure of immense power and authority. He is dressed in fine linen robes, a gold chain around his neck, and an Egyptian headdress that obscures his features. He moves with confidence and purpose, his commands sharp and clear. This is Zaphnath-Paneah, the man Pharaoh had put in charge of the entire land. He is the savior of Egypt, the provider of bread. But beneath the royal attire, beneath the Egyptian name, he is Joseph. He is unrecognizable to the world, and certainly would be to the family he had left behind. He had become an Egyptian in every outward respect, a powerful ruler who held the fate of nations in his hands. The contrast is staggering. In Canaan, his family starves, while in Egypt, he controls the world's food supply. The desperation in Canaan finally breaks the silence. Jacob looks at his 10 older sons, a flicker of frustration in his weary eyes. "Why do you just keep looking at each other?" he asks, his voice raspy but firm. His question hangs in the dry air, a rebuke to their inaction. "I have heard there is grain in Egypt," he continues, his words a lifeline of hope in their sea of despair. "Go down there and buy some for us, so that we may live and not die." It was a simple command, born of a father's desperate need to save his family. The choice was clear: a long, dangerous journey to a foreign land or certain death by starvation. There was no other option, so the 10 brothers prepared for the journey. They packed their donkeys with empty sacks, and whatever money they had left. But one son was left behind. Jacob refused to let his youngest son, Benjamin, go with him. Benjamin was the only other son of his beloved wife, Rachel. After losing Joseph, Jacob's heart clung to Benjamin with a fierce, protective love. He was terrified of losing him too. "I am afraid that harm may befall him," he would have reasoned. The old wound of Joseph's loss still raw and painful after all these years. He could not bear the thought of another tragedy. And so, the 10 brothers, the same group that had once stood over a pit deciding their brother's fate, set out on a long road to Egypt, completely unaware that they were about to walk straight into the hands of the very brother they had betrayed. They were going to Egypt to buy grain, but they were also walking toward a divine appointment, a confrontation with their past that had been decades in the making. The stage was set for one of the most dramatic family reunions in all of history. As they journeyed, they would have been filled with a mix of anxiety and hope. Egypt was a powerful and intimidating kingdom, and they were simple shepherds from Canaan. Would they be treated fairly? Would they even be allowed to buy grain? They were unaware that the man they were going to petition, the second most powerful man in the known world, knew them intimately. Joseph, from his position of power, would soon see his brothers approaching. After more than 20 years, the dream he had as a boy, the dream of his brother's sheaves bowing down to his sheaf, was about to come true in the most unexpected and dramatic way possible. The pain of the past, the providence of God, and the future of a nation were all about to collide in a single fateful encounter. The story of betrayal and forgiveness, of suffering and sovereignty, was about to enter its most compelling chapter. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated on our journey through these timeless stories. Let's rewind the clock a bit. After 7 years of incredible abundance, Egypt was now in the grip of a severe famine. Just as Joseph had predicted from Pharaoh's dream, the storehouses were bursting with grain, but the land all around was barren. People from all over the world started flocking to Egypt, the only place where you could buy food. And who was in charge of selling this grain? None other than Joseph, the second most powerful man in the kingdom. His foresight had saved an entire nation, and now people from far and wide were coming to him for help. Little did he know, his past was about to walk right through the door. Back in Canaan, the famine was hitting Jacob's family hard. The land was dry, their supplies were dwindling, and the situation was becoming desperate. Jacob, seeing that there was grain for sale in Egypt, gathered 10 of his sons. He told them, "Why are you all just staring at each other? I've heard there's grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us, so that we may live and not die." And so, the 10 older brothers packed their bags and set off on a long journey to Egypt, leaving their youngest brother, Benjamin, behind with their father. Jacob was fiercely protective of Benjamin, the only other son of his beloved wife Rachel. After losing Joseph, he couldn't bear the thought of anything happening to Benjamin. The brothers had no idea who they were about to meet, or that this trip would force them to confront the darkest secret of their lives. The 10 brothers finally arrive in Egypt. Imagine them, simple shepherds from Canaan, suddenly standing in the middle of a bustling, magnificent Egyptian city. The pyramids, the temples, the sheer scale of everything must have been overwhelming. They make their way to the place where grain is being sold and are ushered into the presence of the governor of the land. They enter a grand hall filled with the splendor of Egypt. At the far end, seated on a high ornate throne, is a powerful Egyptian official dressed in fine linen and gold. The brothers, completely intimidated, don't dare to look him in the face. They immediately throw themselves on the ground, their faces in the dust, bowing low before this great man. They have no idea who he is, but he knows exactly who they are. As the brothers bow before him, Joseph looks down from his throne. His eyes widen. He grips the armrest so hard his knuckles turn white. It's them. After all these years, It's really them. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, all of them, his own brothers, the ones who sold him into slavery. In that instant, a memory flashes through his mind, a dream from so long ago, a dream of 11 sheaves of grain, their sheaves bowing down to his. It's happening, right here, right now. The dream is coming true. A storm of emotions must have been raging inside him, shock, anger, maybe even a flicker of satisfaction. But he keeps his composure. His face remains a mask of authority. He doesn't let on that he understands their language, their Hebrew tongue. He decides to speak to them through an interpreter, keeping his distance, both physically and emotionally. Through the interpreter, Joseph's voice comes out cold and harsh, speaking in Egyptian. "Where do you come from?" he demands. Judah, acting as the spokesman, his voice trembling, answers from the floor. "From the land of Canaan, my lord. We have come to buy food." They are desperate, that much is clear. Joseph can see the fear in their eyes and the weariness from their long journey. But a crucial question hangs in the air for him. Have they changed? Are they still the same cruel, jealous men who left him for dead in a pit all those years ago? Or has time and hardship taught them anything? He can't just reveal himself. Not yet. He needs to know what's in their hearts. He decides to put them to the test. Leaning forward on his throne, Joseph levels an accusation at them, his voice sharp. "You are spies. You have come to see where our land is unprotected." The accusation hits them like a physical blow. Spies? The penalty for spying was death. Panic erupts among them. They all start talking at once, frantically trying to defend themselves. "No, my lord. No, your servants are honest men. We are not spies." They scramble to explain their story, to prove their innocence. "We are all brothers," they plead, "the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. We are 12 brothers in total. Our youngest brother is back home with our father, and one is no more. One is no more." The words hang in the air, and for a moment, Joseph's mask almost slips. He flinches. That's him. He's the one who is no more. Hearing them say it, so casually, after all they did, it cuts him deep. They think he's dead. They've been living with that lie for over 20 years. The pain, the sense of betrayal, it all comes rushing back. But he pushes it down. He has to stay in control. The test has just begun. He sees an opportunity, a way to dig deeper, to find out if they feel any remorse, and most importantly, to see his younger brother Benjamin, the one he hasn't seen since he was just a boy. Joseph maintains his stern demeanor. "It is just as I said," he declares. "You are spies, and this is how you will be tested. As surely as Pharaoh lives, you will not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here." He's putting them in an impossible position. Send one of you back to get your brother, while the rest of you stay here as prisoners. And we will know if your story is true. If not, then as surely as Pharaoh lives, you are spies. With that, he gives an order, and his guards seize the 10 brothers and throw them all into custody. For 3 days, they are left to languish in prison, terrified and confused. They have no idea that this is all part of a plan, orchestrated by the very brother they thought was long dead. After 3 long days, Joseph has the brothers brought before him again. They are pale and frightened, expecting the worst. But Joseph's tone has shifted slightly. He says to them, "I fear God. Do this, and you will live. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers stay here in prison, while the rest of you go and take grain back for your starving families. But you must bring your youngest brother back to me. This will prove your words are true, and you will not die." The brothers quickly agree. They huddle together, whispering amongst themselves in Hebrew, not realizing Joseph understands every single word. They say to one another, "Surely we are being punished because of what we did to our brother. We saw his distress when he pleaded with us, but we wouldn't listen. That's why this distress has come upon us." Reuben, the eldest, chimes in. "Didn't I tell you not to sin against the boy? But you wouldn't listen. Now we must give an accounting for his blood." Hearing them, Joseph has to turn away. Tears well up in his eyes. For the first time, he hears them express guilt. He hears remorse. They believe they are being punished by God for what they did to him. It's a staggering moment. After composing himself, he turns back to them. He has to follow through with his plan. He chooses Simeon, has him bound right in front of their eyes, and taken away to be held as a hostage. He then orders his servants to fill the brothers' sacks with grain, and secretly, he commands them to put each man his silver, the money they used to pay for the grain, right back in the top of his sack. He also gives them provisions for their journey. Unaware of the silver, the grieving brothers load their donkeys and begin the long, heavy-hearted journey back home to Canaan, leaving Simeon behind. The test is far from over, and the next stage is about to create even more chaos and fear for this troubled family. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for the next part of the story. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're diving deep into a story of suspicion, family drama, and a test of character that you won't believe. Imagine this. After years of separation and a devastating famine, a group of brothers finally reunites with their long-lost sibling, who is now the powerful governor of Egypt. They don't recognize him, of course. To them, he's just a stern ruler. He's already tested them once, accusing them of being spies. To prove their honesty, they had to go on a long, difficult journey back home to Canaan and return with their youngest brother, Benjamin. Think about the fear and anxiety they must have felt. Their elderly father, Jacob, was heartbroken at the thought of losing another son, especially Benjamin, his beloved youngest. But they had no choice. Starvation was a real threat, and this was the only way to get more grain. So they make the journey back to Egypt, Benjamin in tow. When they arrive, the governor, their brother Joseph, treats them to a grand feast. He gives them food, showers them with attention, and even gives Benjamin 5 times the portion of everyone else. The brothers are probably so confused, but also relieved. They're dining with the second most powerful man, Egypt. The tension starts to melt away. They think, okay, maybe we're finally in the clear. He believes us. We're not spies. The next morning, their bags are filled with grain. Their money mysteriously returned to their sacks, just like last time, and they're finally on their way home. You can just picture the scene. The sun is rising. They're on the dusty road leading out of the city, and a huge weight has been lifted off their shoulders. They're talking, maybe even laughing, excited to get back to their father with good news and plenty of food. They did it. They faced the scary Egyptian governor, proved their innocence, and now they can finally go home and be a family again. The crisis is over. Or so they think. Just as they're getting comfortable, a cloud of dust appears on the horizon behind them. It's getting closer, and it's moving fast. The ground starts to shake with the sound of thunderous hoofbeats. Before they can even react, they're surrounded by Egyptian soldiers on horseback, led by the governor's own steward. The brothers freeze, their hearts pounding in their chests. What now? What could they have possibly done wrong? The head guard, with a face like stone, points an accusatory finger at them. "Stop! Halt where you are," he commands. The relief they felt moments ago vanishes, replaced by pure terror. The guard continues, his voice dripping with anger. "Why have you repaid good with evil? My master treated you as honored guests, and this is how you repay him? One of you has stolen his personal silver cup, the very cup he uses for divination." The brothers are just stunned. They look at each other, bewildered and genuinely offended. Stolen? After everything they'd been through? After the feast and the kindness they were shown? It makes no sense. They start protesting their innocence. "We stole nothing. Why would we do such a thing? We even brought back the money we found in our sacks the first time. Why would we steal silver or gold from your master's house now? They are so certain of their innocence, so sure that this is all a terrible mistake, that their oldest brother Judah makes a bold and reckless declaration. He steps forward and says, "Search us. Go through all our bags. We have nothing to hide. If you find the cup with any one of us, that man shall die, and the rest of us will become your slaves for life." Talk about high stakes. He's so confident that he's willing to bet not just one life, but the freedom of all of them. He has no idea that this is all part of a calculated plan, a final, crucial test set up by the very brother they sold into slavery years ago. Joseph had secretly ordered his steward to place the silver cup into Benjamin's sack of grain. So the search begins. The steward, following his instructions, starts with the oldest brother's sack and works his way down. One by one, each bag is opened and inspected. The first brother, clean. The second, clean. The third, fourth, fifth. With each cleared bag, the brothers probably feel a little bit of relief, a little bit of, "I told you so." They're watching intently, their anxiety building, but they're still confident. This has to be a mistake. The steward is just doing his job. Soon he'll see they're innocent, and they can be on their way. The steward moves from brother to brother, his expression unreadable. He gets to the 10th brother. Nothing. The tension is almost unbearable. Only one bag left to check. Benjamin's bag. The youngest, the most cherished, the one their father couldn't bear to let go. They'd probably think there's no way it could be in his bag. He's just a boy. The steward walks over to Benjamin's donkey, unties the sack, and slowly opens it. He reaches inside, rummaging through the grain. And then he pulls his hand out. And what is he holding? The gleaming, unmistakable silver cup. Silence. Absolute, deafening silence. The brothers' faces drain of all color. Their confidence shatters into a million pieces. It's a nightmare. The one thing they swore wouldn't happen, the one thing they bet their lives and freedom on, has just happened. The cup was found, and it was found in Benjamin's sack. In that moment, their world comes crashing down. They don't understand how it happened, but the evidence is undeniable. According to their own words, Benjamin now faces a death sentence, and they are all doomed to a life of slavery in Egypt. How will they ever face their father now? And that's where we're going to leave it for today. The ultimate test of character is about to unfold. What will the brothers do? Will they abandon Benjamin to save themselves, just as they abandoned Joseph all those years ago? Or have they truly changed? Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, because you will not want to miss what happens next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Confident in their innocence, the brothers lowered their sacks to the ground. They watched as the guards, gruff and methodical, started their search. They untied the first sack, plunging their hands deep into the grain, pulling out fistfuls and letting it cascade back down. Nothing. They moved to the second sack, then the third, the fourth. With each empty sack, the brothers' confidence grew, a nervous tension giving way to a sense of vindicated relief. They exchanged glances, a silent conversation passing between them. "See? We told you. We are honest men." The guards, however, were not so easily convinced. Their movements became more aggressive, their faces hardening with frustration. They were certain they would find something, that this was all an elaborate trick. They ripped through the sacks, grain spilling onto the dusty ground at the city gates. The line of brothers grew shorter and shorter, and the focus began to narrow, settling on the youngest among them, Benjamin. He stood there, smaller than the rest, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and confusion. He clutched his sack, a knot of dread forming in his stomach. Why were they being treated like this? One guard, the captain of the detail, strode purposefully towards Benjamin's sack, the last one in the line. A cruel smirk played on his lips. "Let's see what the youngest is hiding," he sneered, his voice dripping with suspicion. The other brothers tensed. This was it, the final search. Once this was over, they could finally go home. The guard didn't hesitate. He grabbed the top of the sack, yanked it open, and plunged his arm deep inside all the way to the bottom, rummaging with a deliberate roughness that made Benjamin flinch. For a moment, there was only the sound of the guard's hand sifting through the grain. The air was thick with suspense. The brothers held their breath, their hearts pounding in their chests. And then the guard's hand stopped moving. His smirk widened into a triumphant grin. Slowly, he began to pull his hand back out. As it emerged from the grain, something caught the bright morning sun, glinting with a blinding flash of silver. He held it up for all to see. It was the governor's ornate silver cup. A collective gasp ripped through the brothers. "No!" One of them cried out, his voice cracking with disbelief. "That's impossible." The world seemed to tilt on its axis. How could this be? They had checked. They had been so careful. It made no sense. The cup, undeniably real, dangled from the guards' fingers, a symbol of their doom. Their confident postures crumbled in an instant. The blood drained from their faces, replaced by a mask of pure, unadulterated horror. One by one, they fell to their knees. Guttural cry of anguish escaped from Judah, and he tore at the front of his robe, a traditional sign of unbearable grief and despair. The others followed suit, their strong hands ripping at their own clothes, their bodies racked with sobs. They weren't just mourning the loss of their freedom. They were mourning the loss of their brother. They all looked at Benjamin, who was now on the ground, shaking uncontrollably, his face pale with terror. He was just a boy, caught in a nightmare he couldn't understand. The terrible truth crashed down upon them with the weight of a mountain. According to the law of the land, the one in whose possession the stolen item was found would become a slave to the one who was wronged. Benjamin would be taken from them. He would become a slave in Egypt, lost to them forever. The thought was more than they could bear. This was the very scenario their father had feared most. He had lost one beloved son, Joseph, years ago. Losing Benjamin, his last child from his beloved wife Rachel, would not just break his heart. It would shatter his very will to live. It would kill him. The brothers were paralyzed by a despair so profound it felt like a physical blow. Their journey to buy food had turned into a catastrophe of unimaginable proportions. They had promised their father they would protect Benjamin with their lives, and they had failed. They were trapped. Returning to their father without Benjamin was unthinkable, yet staying in Egypt meant a life of servitude or worse. The guards looked on, their faces cold and impassive, as the brothers' world collapsed around them at the city gates. Their hope was extinguished, replaced by a suffocating darkness. They had walked into a perfectly laid trap, and now it had snapped shut. The guards dragged the brothers back before Joseph's throne. They fell to their knees, their faces etched with fear and confusion. Joseph, the powerful Egyptian governor, looked down at them, his expression as cold and hard as granite. The silver cup, the very one Joseph claimed was stolen, had been found in Benjamin's sack. The trap was sprung. "The man in whose sack the cup was found shall be my slave," Joseph declared, his voice echoing in the grand hall. "As for the rest of you, go in peace to your father." This was it, the ultimate test. Decades ago, these same men had stood by, had actively participated, as their younger brother Joseph was sold into slavery. They had abandoned him to save their own skins, to rid themselves of a rival. Now, history was repeating itself. Here was another younger brother, Benjamin, the new favorite, facing a lifetime of servitude in a foreign land. Would they abandon him too? Would they choose their own freedom over their brothers, just as they had done before? The air in the throne room was thick with tension. Every eye was on the 10 older brothers. What would they do? Suddenly, one of them moved. It was Judah. He stepped forward, his body trembling, but his eyes were filled with a steely resolve. He had been the one, all those years ago, who had suggested selling Joseph instead of killing him. The guilt of that decision had been his constant companion. He wouldn't make the same mistake again. He couldn't. "My lord, please," Judah's voice cracked, but it was loud and clear. He prostrated himself, his forehead touching the cool marble floor. "Please, listen to your servant. If we return to our father without the boy, it will kill him. Our father, Jacob, is an old man. His life is bound up in the boy's life. He has already lost one son he loved dearly, a son he believes was torn apart by wild animals. He cannot lose another. The grief would be too much for him to bear." Judah looked up, and his face was a mask of anguish. Tears streamed freely down his cheeks, mingling with the dust on the floor. He wasn't just acting. This was raw, unfiltered desperation. He was pleading not just for Benjamin's life, but for his father's. "When we first came to Egypt for grain," Judah continued, his voice heavy with the weight of his confession, "you asked us about our family. We told you about our old father and our youngest brother, the child of his old age, whose full brother is dead. We told you how our father loves him. And you, my lord, demanded that we bring him here, or we would never see your face again." Our father was terrified. He said, "You know my wife bore me 2 sons. One went away from me, and I said, surely he has been torn to pieces. I have never seen him since. If you take this one from me too, and harm comes to him, you will bring my gray hairs down to the grave in sorrow." Judah's words painted a vivid picture of a family consumed by grief, a father on the brink of despair. He wasn't just recounting events. He was bearing his family's soul to this powerful Egyptian ruler. "I, my lord," Judah's voice dropped to a near whisper, "I personally guaranteed the boy's safety to my father. I said, if I do not bring him back to you, I will bear the blame before you all my life. So now, please, please let your servant remain here as a slave to my lord instead of the boy. Let him go back with his brothers." He paused, taking a ragged breath. The final plea came from the deepest part of his being. "For how can I go back to my father if the boy is not with me? I cannot bear to see the misery that would overwhelm my father." Silence. The entire court held its breath. Joseph watched Judah, this man who had callously sold him for 20 pieces of silver. He saw not the arrogant, jealous brother of his youth, but a man broken and remade by years of guilt and regret. He saw a man willing to sacrifice his own freedom, his own life, for the sake of his brother and his father. Judah was offering to take Benjamin's place, to become a slave in Egypt so that his brother could go free. This was the ultimate act of self-sacrifice, the ultimate proof of a changed heart. It was in that moment that the wall Joseph had built around his heart for 22 years finally crumbled. He saw it all. The jealousy, the betrayal, the years of suffering, all of it had led to this moment of profound redemption. They had changed. His brothers had truly, deeply changed. Judah's selfless offer was the proof. The test was over, and the results were more than Joseph could have ever hoped for. The broken family was, at last, ready to be healed. Welcome back to our series on the life of Joseph. We've reached the most dramatic, emotional, and pivotal moment in the entire story. The brothers stand before the powerful Egyptian governor, accused of being spies. Benjamin has been framed for theft. Judah has just delivered the most moving speech of his life, offering himself as a slave in Benjamin's place. The tension is unbearable. What will the governor do? The fate of Jacob's entire family hangs in the balance. The governor, this mighty Egyptian ruler, has been testing his brothers, pushing them to see if they've changed, if they've learned from the terrible thing they did so many years ago. Judah's self-sacrifice is the final proof he needs. The brothers have passed the test. They are no longer the same cruel, jealous men who sold their own brother into slavery. They have learned compassion. They are willing to sacrifice for one another. And for Joseph, seeing this transformation is too much to bear. For 22 years, he has carried this secret. For 22 years, he has lived as an Egyptian, rising from slave to prisoner to the second most powerful man in the world. He has suppressed his true identity, his language, his family, his past. But now, seeing his brothers' repentance and love for Benjamin and their father, the dam of emotion finally breaks. He can't play this role anymore. He can't be Zaphenath-Paneah, the Egyptian governor, for one more second. He has to be Joseph. His face, once a mask of stern authority, completely crumbles. A disciplined ruler vanishes, replaced by a man overwhelmed by decades of pent-up grief, love, and longing. In a voice choked with emotion, but still carrying the weight of command, he shouts to his guards and attendants, "Everyone get out! Leave us alone! Now!" The command is so sudden, so raw, the guards don't hesitate. They scramble out of the throne room, confused by their master's sudden outburst. The heavy stone doors swing shut, sealing the 11 brothers inside with this powerful, unpredictable ruler. The room falls into a deafening silence. The brothers watch, bewildered and terrified. What is happening? Have they angered him further? Is he about to pronounce their doom? The governor stands up from his throne. Slowly, deliberately, he reaches up and removes his ornate Egyptian headdress, the symbol of his power and authority. And then, the man who held the fate of the world in his hands begins to weep. Not quiet, dignified tears, but great, heart-wrenching sobs that echo through the vast hall. The sound is so loud that the Egyptians waiting outside can hear it, and they wonder what could possibly be happening inside. The brothers are frozen in place, their minds racing. This is beyond anything they could have imagined. And then, through his tears, the governor speaks. But he doesn't speak in Egyptian. He speaks in their native tongue, in Hebrew, in a language of their childhood, a language they haven't heard from a stranger in this foreign land. And the words he says shatter their world. Ani Yosef, I am Joseph. Imagine that moment. The air crackles. Time stops. The brothers stare, their jaws dropping in disbelief. Their eyes go wide with a dawning horror that is 1,000 times worse than their fear of being executed as spies. It can't be. The brother they sold. The brother they told their father was killed by a wild animal. The dreamer they threw into a pit. Standing before them, alive, not as a slave, not as a fellow prisoner, but as the master of Egypt, the man who holds their lives, their families' lives, in the palm of his hand. It's an impossible, terrifying revelation. The weight of their guilt comes crashing down on them with the force of an avalanche. They are utterly undone. Joseph, seeing the sheer terror on their faces, asks a question that shows where his heart truly is. After all these years, his first thought is of his father. He asks, Had Avichai? Is my father still alive? It's a question full of longing, a confirmation of what Judah just told him, but he needs to hear it again. He needs that connection to the family he lost. But the brothers can't answer. They are physically unable to speak. Their throats are tight with fear, their bodies shaking uncontrollably. They are paralyzed by shock and shame. They are staring at a ghost from their past who has come back, not as a ghost, but as a king with the power to exact any revenge he desires. They brace themselves for the judgment they know they deserve. Seeing their terror, Joseph's heart softens. His sobs subside, and his voice becomes gentle, filled with a deep well of compassion. He knows he has to close the distance between them, not just physically, but emotionally. He walks down the steps from his throne, leaving behind the symbols of his power and approaching them as a brother, "Come closer to me," he says softly. "Please." It's a plea, not a command. Hesitantly, like frightened animals, they inch forward. They are still shaking, still unable to process what is happening. Joseph looks at each of their faces, faces he hasn't seen since they were young men. And he says it again to make sure there is no doubt. "I am your brother, Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt." He names the crime. He brings their sin out into the open, not to accuse them, but to absolve them. He sees the distress, the self-loathing, the anger they must feel towards themselves. And then he says the most incredible, grace-filled words they could ever hope to hear. "And now, do not be distressed and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here." How is that possible? How can he not want them to be angry with themselves? What comes next is one of the most profound statements of faith in all of Scripture. Joseph opens his arms wide, a gesture of complete welcome and forgiveness. He gives them a new perspective, a divine perspective on everything that has happened. "It was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you." He reframes their malicious act as part of a divine plan. He's telling them, what you intended for evil, God intended for good. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a tragedy. This was providence. God was working through their sin, through his suffering, to bring about a great rescue. The brothers are still reeling, but his words begin to break through their fear. He's not angry. He's not vengeful. He's forgiving them. He's offering them grace. To seal this unbelievable reconciliation, Joseph moves towards his youngest, full-blooded brother. He embraces Benjamin, weeping on his neck, and Benjamin weeps with him. A reunion 22 years in the making. Then he turns to Judah, the very brother who proposed selling him. He pulls him into a hug. Think of the power of that moment, the betrayer embraced by the betrayed. Then he goes to Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and all the others, one by one. He hugs each of them, and as he embraces them, the brothers' walls of fear and guilt finally crumble. The shame gives way to relief. The terror melts into joy. They break down, sobbing in his arms, tears of remorse, tears of gratitude, and tears of unbelievable, miraculous reunion. The family, torn apart by jealousy and hatred, is finally, truly made whole again. It's a powerful picture of forgiveness and redemption, a testament to the idea that no matter how broken things are, God can put them back together in ways we can never imagine. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe for the next part of this incredible story. Have you ever felt like you were at rock bottom? Betrayed, forgotten, left for dead? Joseph certainly did. Sold into slavery by his own brothers, thrown into a pit, then a prison. It seemed like his life was over before it even began. But what if I told you that every single one of those hardships was actually part of a much bigger, much more beautiful plan? This is the final, breathtaking chapter of Joseph's story, where everything comes full circle. Last time, we left Joseph, the powerful governor of Egypt, face to face with his brothers who had sold him into slavery years ago. They didn't recognize him, but he knew them. After a series of tests to see if their hearts had changed, Joseph finally revealed himself. "I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt." The shock, the fear, the guilt, it was all overwhelming for them. But Joseph's response was not one of revenge. It was one of incredible grace. He told them not to be angry with themselves, because it was God who had sent him ahead to save lives. Now, imagine this scene. A massive caravan is traveling across the desert, kicking up dust under the hot Egyptian sun. It is carrying the entire family of Jacob, 70 souls in all, heading towards a new home, a new hope. They've left behind the famine-stricken land of Canaan, all because of an invitation from a son they thought was long dead. Leading this caravan is Jacob, now an old man. His body frail, but his spirit buoyed by the impossible news that his beloved Joseph is alive. As they arrive in the lush, green land of Goshen, a region Pharaoh himself set aside for them, a chariot races across the field. It's Joseph. He jumps down and runs to his father. The moment they embrace is one of the most powerful in all of history. Joseph throws his arms around Jacob's neck and weeps. The tears of 22 years of separation and pain and longing finally released. Jacob, holding his son, whispers, "Now I am ready to die, since I have seen for myself that you are still alive." The family is whole again. The brokenness is mended. Years pass. The Israelites thrive in Goshen, a safe haven from the famine that still grips the world. We see them, a growing community, their flocks multiplying, their children playing. They are safe, they are fed, they are together. It's a picture of perfect restoration. One evening, we find Joseph standing on a balcony, looking out over the majestic Nile River. The stars are beginning to pepper the night sky. His brothers are with him. Perhaps they still carry a shadow of guilt, still wonder if Joseph harbors any resentment. It's in this quiet, reflective moment that Joseph speaks the words that summarize his entire incredible journey. He turns to them, not with accusation, but with profound wisdom. He says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Think about that. What his brothers meant for evil, what seemed like a senseless act of cruelty, God used for an incredible purpose. Every step of Joseph's journey, the pit, the slavery in Potiphar's house, the false accusation, the years in prison, was a necessary part of the path to the palace. It was all a setup for him to be in the exact right place at the exact right time to interpret Pharaoh's seas, to prepare for the famine, and ultimately to save not only the nation of Egypt, but his own family. As Joseph speaks, we can almost see the stars above him shimmering, just like they did in his dreams all those years ago when he was just a boy. The dream of the sun, moon, and 11 stars bowing down to him. It seemed like an arrogant fantasy back then, the very thing that sparked his brother's jealousy. But now, it's all come true, not in a way that puffed up his pride, but in a way that served and saved the very people who had wronged him. From a pit to a palace, from a slave to a savior, the dreamer's journey was finally complete. Joseph's story is more than just an ancient tale. It's a powerful testament to the idea of divine providence. It's a story that tells us that even in our darkest moments, when things make no sense, when we feel abandoned and betrayed, there might be a larger purpose at play that we just can't see yet. It doesn't mean the pain isn't real. Joseph's suffering was immense. But it means the pain isn't the end of the story. The Bible puts it this way in the book of Romans. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him. This is the ultimate message of Joseph's life. It's a message of hope, of resilience, and of faith that even the worst intentions of people can be woven into a beautiful tapestry of redemption by a God who sees the bigger picture. So, if you're in a pit right now, if you feel like your dreams have been shattered, remember Joseph. Remember that your story isn't over. What feels like an ending might just be the middle of a much grander narrative. The journey from the pit to the palace is long, and it's hard, but it is possible. Thank you so much for joining me on this epic 5-part journey through the life of Joseph. It has been an absolute honor to explore this incredible story with you. If this series has moved you or inspired you, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more deep dives into the greatest stories ever told. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway from Joseph's life in the comments below. Until next time, take care and keep the faith.